Good evening and welcome to Nerve Check, the best Kings of War podcast listened to by tens of people. See, Ben, it's not that hard. Don't screw up the next time you're doing it for us. This evening, we're accompanied by the members from the Mid-Atlantic, Chet and Jordan, to discuss the first round matchups at Fully Loaded GT. I'm excited to be commenting on these lists, which are some of them are absolutely filthy and some of them are slightly less filthy. And I look forward to getting a heads up as to what I'll be facing when I go down for Vanguard GTs. So with no further ado, Chet, I think this is your first GT that you've run.
Yeah. Been thinking about it for a while. Been talking about it with the guys. And then set it up with the guys, and the guys are like, we can't make that day. I'm like, I picked this day for you guys. They're like, oh, we forgot. I'm like, cool. But so no, I've been wanting to run it for a long time, and I ran a lot of one days and kind of wanted to take it to the next level. I feel like we've been getting more comfortable, and I think we're ready. I've always run my one days kind of like a GT with I have trophies, I have prize support and raffles, and I'm like, because I thought that's how it was supposed to be from the very first GT I went to, and I was like, oh, that's not one days. Those are just get pizza, have people over. So I feel like I've been practicing for a while. Had a lot of people helped, you with the podcast, this matchup cast, appreciate it. Jordan, my wife, who did some editing and did a lot of the business side of things. Joe, my wife, then Joe Borghese, helping me with mats and just being overall willing to help with stuff. Adam made a killer player pack, another guy from my club. I got Alan Beaner is bringing up the mats, because I'm thinking if I run this event, there's no way I'm buying 12 to 14 mats on my own. I'm a teacher. I don't make that kind of money. So I borrowed a lot of mats from borrowed a lot of mats from Joe and Alan, and I have one myself. So did make a lot of terrain though. Like a lot of terrain. I made by myself. I made 13 tables. So
3D printer or
no.
Oh,
Everything I make is from Dollar Tree, bro. You're gonna like it. It looks good. Jordan
played on it. It was they're fun. So there's fun themes. You can look at them and you're like, holy shit, this is made out of a kindergarten's drawer. So now there's some real cheap stuff in there, but it fits thematically. It works.
Right. Well, you want your expensive mushroom table? What do you want from me, bro? They all have themes. We've got a mushroom table. There's a dead giant table. There's, oh man, of course you got your winter tables and stuff like that. But you'll see them when you get there. There's some other fun ones that I've got going on there. So the base sizes are fairly consistent, fairly sizable terrain pieces, and I think everyone's going to enjoy it. That's my takeaway. I'm proud of how they look.
I
guess the next two questions are, where's it taking place and what time should players show up?
All right. So it's taking place at the Courtyard Hotel by Marriott, which is in Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania. Pretty close to the Scranton, the office area, northeastern PA. And right off 81. It's real easy, right off a major highway. And the start time is 9:30 is the first game, so 9 o'clock is sign in. It's all in the player pack, so if I mess something up, double check the player pack. That's correct. But 9 a.m. on Saturday this weekend. But I did put a poll out, and I've been very pleased with the community with some of the polls I put out recently. At the last event, Nerdhammer, I did a poll about command dice, and it was overwhelmingly not a favorable thing. So, it was 20 votes against and 5 votes for. And so it was a pretty easy no-brainer to say no command dice at my event. And then the next kind of poll I ran was just on a whim. I was like, you know what? Does anyone want to play on Friday night, their round 1 matchup? Because I know I got a lot of dojo guys and they like to drink. So I said, if you guys want to sleep in on Saturday, as long as your first round opponent is okay with playing you, would everyone be okay with that? Now, you don't have to play Friday night. There will be games Friday or Saturday morning. But if you want to get there early Friday night and you do the thing and you send it in through Mike's app, I am more than happy to count that as the actual game. And you guys, you're still following the clock. You're still following all the rules. You're just playing at a more convenient hour. And you can sleep in, come in at lunch, and then finish the rest of the day out with 2 games. The idea behind Fully Loaded is relaxed. You get there, and it is just, you get there and you're done. You get there and have fun, enjoy yourself for the whole weekend. I feel like the clock is relaxed. It's a 70-minute clock with a finish the round. So you got that extra 5 minutes to kind of breathe. And then if you do kind of get stuck, because I got a lot of new players in my region, I don't want to see them get stressed out and then clock out and lose because they clocked on a low clock and, be like dice down. You didn't roll nerve. You know what I mean? I'm like, hey, okay, you clocked out, you learn your lesson, but you do get to finish whatever phase you're on, finish your ranged, finish your melee, whatever it is. And then, that's it. It's going to be a pretty relaxed schedule, and I'm providing lunch both days. Well, that's Saturday and Sunday. I have snacks and drinks. Believe Joe Borghese is also probably going to help me. He said he'd help me out. He's going to get beer for people. So it's really come and show up. I've got all kinds of things set up. Dinner across the street there's a hibachi place across the street. Across the street, there's also a ramen place, a crab place, Chuck E. Cheese, if you feel.
What you're saying, Chet, is next year you and I are going to deconflict, so we're not in the same month holding tournaments.
Yeah, no,
I look, and
I don't
you
know
are
about
within a driving distance away from me, so I can absolutely, if you're in Scranton, yes. So next year you and I will talk better so that we're not the same month.
Agreed. There's a few takeaways I had was not run into Adepticon weekend. So talk to those people because they don't want to put it on the Masters site, which is why I kept looking to see if anyone has anything and sending it out in the ether and no feedback. So I'm like, it's in Wisconsin. That won't affect me. And then yours is in Canada. I'm like, how many people are going to Canada and to Scranton in the same month? But apparently a few. Joe Borghese, you would have. Yeah. I think I lost out on Marcelo probably would have made it if I didn't do it during Adepticon. And the guy who runs Crossroads in blanking.
Probably drawn 4 Canadians down if we weren't doing
Corey. What's that?
Oh, Corey Reynolds and all of them because we're probably about 6 hours away, so we are driving distance.
Okay, I'm in the Northeast. If it's more than 3 hours, I don't know if it's driving distance anymore. So we're spoiled. But I would absolutely love to have you down. And Ray, it looks like a lot of people copied your list idea anyway.
So with that, it sounds like a great event. And like I said, one of the ones that we're going to deconflict a bit better for next year, so we're not stepping on each other's toes.
Yeah.
But I look forward to hearing about it and talking to all of you as to how it went.
Yeah.
So it does look like dwarfs were the major army in the Mid-Atlantic.
Shocker.
Yeah, who knew?
But then I'm surprised because what I noticed was that elves were making a comeback, whether it's I've read the books of Twilight and I really, really like the wolves or the vampires. I'm not sure which, but 3 people chose that. And they have been shortened to Twilight instead of Twilight Kin, just to specify that young adult audience. 3 people have chosen Forces of Abyss. But it really, the elves are making the comeback, and this is really what I am used to seeing in a Mid-Atlantic, where you have your Alpha Strike, you have your mixed shooting with elves, and you have your dwarfs. So there were no great surprises here in terms of the army numbers and layout.
I was a little surprised at the lack of Alpha Strike. If you went to Dead of Winter, there was a lot. I felt like there was a fair amount of alpha. I mean, I was one of 4 or 5 Kings of Men players, which made me almost not want to play the faction anymore. And then, I'm looking there's 1 green lady and there's nothing else that's alpha.
I was surprised there's so much Twilight Kin. I know so many people who are oh, Clash of Kings 2024, they've ruined. I'm not going to play them ever again. And I mean, they're almost as popular as dwarfs.
Yeah.
I still think they're very viable, but I'm pretty sure we're going to see pretty soon.
And I think you get a wild split, but I was also surprised at how many elves are making a comeback. I think the prevalence of alpha at Nerdhammer and at Dead of Winter, and I don't know what was going on at right. Maybe you can speak to your tournament, but a lot of alpha at those last two, and the strong counter that Jordan figured out to alpha is one hell of a shooting list. And I kept saying shooting is going to be the next big wave, but I don't know. How was it at your last event? What was the breakdown? Was it a lot of alpha or?
It was predominantly dwarfs. Dwarfs are still a top tier army list. Alpha wasn't the prevalent list. We're a bit slower because we're in Canada, so there were a bit more ogres and a bit more of the traditional Northern Alliance because that is thematic. If you're Canadian, ogres and Northern Alliance, I don't know why, and dwarfs. So I didn't see a lot of. I don't think there was one Green Lady list, and that had no knights in it, and it had no flyers. So it was a.
What else
it did really
have?
well. It had the naiads, it had earth elementals, water elementals. It was a pure grind Green Lady list. It did really well.
It's nature.
Just forces of nature, but worse. I guess. I don't know. Maybe did it use the greater water elemental kind of? Yeah. All right.
Yeah. So it works.
There's
but
there.
Looking at the units, whether it's the min max in unit strength, I compared it to Dead of Winter and I compared it to my tournament, and it's all about the same. In terms of the max number, unit strength has gotten as high as 36 in the Canadian tournaments. We had a low high spam that got into the 30s, but we were also 2,500 points. So this is
that definitely makes a difference.
So compared to Dead of Winter, your numbers were about within one. So so the numbers are tracking. The army list, we can definitely see some regional metas between the Mid-Atlantic, the Northeast, and the Canadian part of the Northeast. So I should probably put all three of those together and actually do a little 5 or 10 minute video on the three differences.
Yeah, and the Goblin meta fell apart too. Jordan, you remember a little while ago when like Goblin became like a lot? When I was running Goblins, a lot of people started. Not that I was, but there was a lot of like, started seeing multiple Goblin lists, and that's when I switched to Kingdoms.
So I think it was sort of like people tried to make the 6x6x6 back from like, I don't know, 3-4 years ago.
That was such a good one.
And they kept trying to find ways to redo it, and they had a lot of success. The Bangits did really well, and then they toned down Bangits, and they lost the formation. And I still think they're fairly good, but I don't think they're going to be as prevalent, and for that matter, as just abusive as they were before.
Don't challenge me, Jordan. I'll bring them back.
I would love for you to bring them back. If I don't have to play your Kingdoms of Men, that'd be great.
So, Chet, you were kind enough to let us know about the first scenario in the first round, and here it is, so that no one has to be surprised when they show up.
All right, so I'm not a big fan of like really switched around modifications. I do like. I want to kind of fix push a little bit and make it a little more dynamic. So after both players have set up their forces, each player places 2, not 3, 2 loot counters in their setup area, giving them to units to carry as they wish. Roll the Sioux begins to place first. Loot counters first. Players taking in turns place 1 loot counter range. In addition to the 3 loot counters, not 1, 3 are placed along the center line of the board, exactly 18 inches apart from the centermost token being placed in the exact center of the board. So you're going to have 1 placed in that dead center, and then 2 more right along the lines. They'll be right along that 2-foot line, and they'll be 18 inches from the middle one. So you still have 2 to drop on a pushing unit, but I think this makes it more dynamic for multiple different army styles. And it makes it more viable without hurting any other army configurations and kind of avoiding the toilet bowl. So we've all played push probably, dozens of times. Hopefully this makes for a more interesting push. It's almost like push meets stockpile without the time constraints. I don't know. I know if, what's that new one? Rack and Ruin was run in UK a number of times before it made its way into the actual rule book. The fever dream is this is good enough event and the good enough thing. And I do a poll at the end. They're like, we all love the modified push. And then it's like, great. And then that shows up in a book, and that'd be pretty cool. So still get 2 points for getting it across the middle line. You get 1 point if it's on your side of the line, you control it. All the other regular rules with loot, just you spread out the middle ones, and you only start with 2 in your deployment zone instead of 3.
Okay. Well, with no further ado, we'll go into the first round. Now, just for everyone's clarification, I have done a couple of these. I am often wrong. Please do not be offended by anything I say. And if I vote against you, it's just how I feel at that moment in night, which is clearly defined by how noisy my kids are at any given point in time. So if I don't pick you to win, it's nothing personal. We're just having fun, and I'm having a beer.
Conversely, if I pick you to lose, then please take it personally. Come to me, and because some of these lists are shit. Some of these lists are obnoxious as hell. And
well, then on that note, Jordan, do you want to begin us with round 1?
Sure. So I started looking at these, and the first thing I saw was, because you guys don't see the army names, Adam's army name list is the strangest thing I've ever seen. And I couldn't even figure it out. Frog Dent, what Cleese of Nertica? I don't know what that is. I feel special just trying to read it. All right. I don't know. But so looking at this, the first thing I initially was going to say that, Adam's list feels like a lot more fine-tuned than Kelly's. I look at Adam's and I see something what I would expect from a Trident Realms list after it's been play tested a bunch. And then I look at Kelly's and I'm not seeing most of the overtuned fuck you for running them elements of Northern Alliance that I'm used to seeing. So I'm either looking at it and I feel like I'm missing something. What's the catch? The only thing I do see that's really going to work a little bit more in Kelly's favor, Adam doesn't really have any great token wagons. The best I could think up with is a stool, because everything is speed higher than speed 5. But I think the Thule can do okay. Whereas Kelly's list has got tons of them. But I still think Adam will take it. I just don't see any elements in Kelly's list that'll pose really hard questions for Adam, except for the Ice Naiads. And I think Adam has enough maneuverability and enough shooting that he can just engage the Ice Naiads only when he's managed to make it a favorable exchange versus just because he has to. But we'll see.
So you're picking Adam.
Oh, yes. Was that not obvious? Yeah, Adam.
You see, I don't think that the Thule, because they lack any crushing strength, because they lack any...
They're going to get it from that the aura from the Kraken.
Right.
Yeah, one of the guys gives an aura Thunder one.
Yep, the Kraken does, but it doesn't work against the spears. You're fast, and Adam's list is deceptively fast. But as Jordan pointed out, it is hurt by the need to pick up the tokens, reduce them to speed 5. It might be one of those where you just leave the tokens, go fight for the three middle ones, and call it a day. So I think Kelly's is a list in development. I think it has hammers and I think it has abilities, but I think Adam's list is just fine-tuned at this point in time for this type of matchup. So I agree with you, Jordan. I'm on Team Adam, Team Trident Realm, Team Fish.
Well, Adam's my clubmate. I've played him a number of times. I've played Kelly a few, but I think you're right. I think Adam has so much shooting in this list, so many frustrating elements that he just, and a lot of Kelly's list doesn't want to be shot. Those Frostclaw riders do not enjoy being shot. The humans tribesmen are not very fast. You can shoot them forever, especially when you're flying speed 7 nimble. And I don't think Kelly's list has enough shooting to really do as much against Adams. I think this is actually one example of where a list benefits a lot from not playing traditional push. Having those 3 tokens in the center of the board only reduces one or only two of his either side's token holders. So like it kind of makes it so they only have to really have two slow caddies. Yeah, I got to go at him on this one too.
Well, that's off to a decisive start. So round two, Jordan, I'm going to put you back up on the spot because we have.
Stop it. You have notes.
Yeah, I do. I'm just reminded of. Right, so I am playing on the clock, which means I'm probably going to lose because that's usually what I do when I'm on the clock. But so, all right. So we're playing push, and I'm playing against an army that is tons of scouting and and I'm also playing a shooting army against an army that has tons of scouting. And then you were nice enough to put 3 tokens on the center line against an army that has tons of scouting. So I'm not even going to bother to give any more advice to Mr. Josiah. I think he's got enough of a one-up as it is. I'm going to lose, and everyone else can suck it. Actually, no, seriously. I think it's a cool scenario, and my list should have a lot of problems into this sort of scenario because I've gotten an incredibly monotonous list. But, at least it's not OGL.
So is that a vote for?
Oh, of course it's for
Josiah?
Josiah. Of course. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. But yeah, no, it's you have every advantage. He has every advantage in the scenario. I'm not even going to bother to figure out.
Well, then I will provide him some advice. I will point out the fact that if he can scout onto the 3 tokens in the middle, he can just retreat back onto his half with the 5 tokens in total and win 5-4, even if you get them over. So that being said, Jordan, I have complete faith in you, and I will vote for you to somehow pull this off, despite I hope I pronounce his name, Josiah, again, the 5 tokens off the start, and you having to push through to be able to either kill him, shoot a unit off, or whatever to get the game. Because that's what I would do if I was his situation, is I'd scout and then just immediately begin backing up saying, I'm going to win 5-4. Not Chet level of 7-0 or whatever, but yeah, I just need to win 5-4.
You got to shoot for it. So you're going with Jordan?
Yeah.
Jordan beat the pants off me the last 2 times we played. I happened to win with like an 11-10, which was hilarious. He had his whole army minus like a couple of gargoyles. I had 1 dragon, but I had more tokens. So if you're gonna beat Jordan, that's the way to do it. But my guy Josiah, he's a good guy. He's a pretty new player. I think Jordan's amount of shooting is going to make him sad. So I'm going to go Jordan on this one.
Josiah, don't be afraid of the shooting. Just grab the 5 tokens.
Josiah, just get up the board and beat the hell out of him. He loves it. He's all about it. So there you go.
Okay. Chet, this one's over to you.
All right. So you've got the ogres versus Twilight Kin. I really like this ogre list. It feels like an ogre list. It is an ogre list. They're pretty standard at this point, but I absolutely love the Boomer Sergeants. I remember seeing the Boomer Sergeants and said, yes, bring them back. I love it. If they could focus fire on a target between the 2 boomers and all the warlocks with lightning bolts and Namagrok, Twilight Kin do not like lightning bolt. They're not a fan of it. This is going to hurt them. If Larry plays this right, this is Larry's game to lose. I do think that the Twilight Kin list is solid. I really like it. I don't think it has anything bad about it. It's got a lot of things there. Celestial Restoration is going to be a problem, but I think that Larry's Ogres can put enough damage into something where Celestial's not going to get a lot of opportunities to use its best abilities. I'm going to go Ogres on this one, and that's my call. Too many scoring units to deal with.
Jordan, I guess I'll go. I was only sad that the Berserker Bully or whatever, that you didn't fit the regular Sergeant with the Rally 1. I always want to see Rally 1 now in the Ogres, because I think that the extra point of nerve makes a big difference when you go up to 13, 15, defense 5, dash 19 for your Berserker Braves. Yeah. I also note that the Ogres are lacking any terrain mitigation measures. I think Keith's list, what was neat was all the 3 Twilight lists are all very, very different in terms of what they're focusing on, how they want to play the game, etc. The Corsair Fleet Wardens, the regiment spam can be really, really tough, but you want like the double rally on them if you're going to do that. So I think this is a point where Keith has the flyers to shut down the shooting, to get the charges he wants, how he wants it. But I think this is going to go Larry.
All right. Well, I guess that leaves me. So first, on a personal note, I find it absolutely hilarious. The first time I see Keith playing something other than ogres, he has to go up against his own list. That's just height of irony for me. Unfortunately, for something that will not work in Larry's favor, this is the first game for Keith, which means he will not be drunk yet. So this is going to work
on Friday.
But it doesn't matter as long as it's like earlier in the evening. Yeah,
Larry, push it to late Friday.
Yeah, I mean, like Larry, if you don't show up until really late, you may have an advantage. That aside, I have to agree with everybody. The other guys, this feels like an uphill battle for Keith. He's paying for phalanx and stealth. That won't do anything. Not really, anyway. And they both have tons of good options for moving loot tokens. So I don't see that as an advantage in terms of scenario. In the end, I wish I knew more about Larry as a player, because I know all about Keith as a player, and he will stomp you into the dirt while pouring you shots if you let him. That's all. Since I don't know anything about Larry as a player, I'm going to call this for Larry.
Okay. Well, now we have Alex Chavez versus Justin Lingle. And Alex, I see you haven't really changed your list all that much from Dead of Winter. The 2 Flame Bearers, 2 Gargoyles, the Berserker Hordes, Abyssal Horsemen, which are garbage. Don't know why you're bringing them. Cronius, Seductress, Warlock, Betrayer. But you did take the formation. Against Justin's Order of the Green Lady, which has a special place in my heart as well. He's doing 3 Forsaken, 2 Redemption, which I like. I'm surprised by the Water Elementals with the Chant of Hate. They seem a little bit out of place in this list, so I trust, Justin, that you have some excellent advice from the Nerdhammer crew as to why you're taking that unit there. The Triple Pegasus, as you do. But despite Alex not doing very well at Dead of Winter, he's going to come out to kick ass because he got his ass kicked at Dead of Winter. And he's going to be on a mission to prove that he is on his way up for Vanguard so he can perform there on home turf. So, Justin, I am sorry. Your Order of Forsaken are fast, but he's going to chaff them with the Gargoyles, hit them with the Berserkers, and they're going to be done. Sorry to tell you that, Justin. Pick an army, play with it.
Savage. I'm going with Justin. I love the amount of Justin gets to pick all the fights here. Alex is on the defensive thing, and it's not dwarves. They're not defensive bricks. Those flame bearers are going to die to a stiff breeze. He's pushing the water elementals up the gut. Now, granted, he doesn't want to carry tokens, so that is going to hurt him. He's going to have to kill and then jump on stuff. But this is also 3 tokens across the middle. Those Pegasus could jump out and get on them pretty quick if they get a turn 1. And do like the, what can we call it, the Ray backup. So that's a thing. But, having those horsemen outpaced, having the Berserkers outpaced. I mean, Alex is trying to go alpha light. He's got mixed arms, but it's like the alpha elements of his line, like the hard hitting fast stuff, is just not as fast as Justin's fast stuff. And granted, I keep thinking of that game you and I had, Ray, where he could chaff the hell out of him. But I'm actually going to throw this one. I think Justin has this game.
Okay.
It's going to be tight, though. It's going to be real tight.
Alex Chavez versus Justin Lingle. Both players I hate to love playing against. Some of the best games I've ever had been up against these players. So really, I'm just glad you have to play each other instead of me. And since there were no challenges in this GT, Alex might not auto win against Mark Howard.
I was going to ask about that when we got to Mark's. Like, Did he just like lose a bet and wasn't allowed
Dude,
to
you know what the
challenge?
thing is? People ask about challenges after I already said it, and it was so hard for me to figure out the software. I'm like, I'm not doing it again. No challenges. It's not happening. Just deal with what it is.
Normally I'm gonna kind of agree with Ray and Chet. I think this is Justin's state of shine. But what the fuck are you doing running a horde of water elementals? This is terrible. This is a horrible idea. You had what would your standard Order the Green Lady garbage train. I feel like I fucking invented the list. And this is great. And I almost missed the water elementals.
But there's Surge in there.
There's
Surge. You have to worry about
even
Surge.
through the devoted without inspiring. It's so bad. Justin.
Who's got Radiance?
I thought we were friends, man.
Now, if it was
it's going to be your game, Justin.
If it was a greater water elemental with the Radiance of Life for Sacred Water, that would at least be interesting to add to the like grind ability. And
I wonder why.
Well, the devoted has Radiance of this as well.
I mean, if you're going to go water elementals and OGL, why not jump on the formation? It kind of confuses me a little bit.
I can tell you why not to jump on the formation. The formation is hot freaking garbage. I ran that formation for like half a year. It was the worst thing in my list every single time.
So I'm choosing Alex. Chet is with Justin. Jordan,
yep.
You seem to have complained about both.
I do like to complain about. Actually, Alex's list is fine. I see nothing in Alex's list that's really a problem. I just think that Justin has enough chaff to out-chaff you, or at least keep your chaff delayed enough that his Forsaken will do what Forsaken do. And it's like he's playing with a handicap. I respect that. Not enough to run the list, but Justin's still going to win.
Okay. So Jordan, this is yours.
All righty. So again, much like Keith, this is the first round, so Mark will not be drunk yet. He's not playing Alex Chavez in a challenge, so he won't auto lose. This is a significant factor. Second, I do not have to play against either of these lists. I know Mark specifically is teching against dwarfs, lesser or otherwise, and Bart is accidentally teching against dwarfs. Either way, I'm fucked. So if they could somehow, both lose, that would be great. All that Wind Blast flying around in both these lists for the scenario is going to be clutch. I'd imagine people... wait, you can't be Wind Blasted while you have tokens.
Correct.
I'm totally watching this game, though. This is going to be hilarious.
And you can't be enthralled either when you.
All right. Yeah. Well,
neither of these lists want to see each other across the table. They're both like, "Oh no, my arch enemy," and the other one's like, "Oh, mine too." That doesn't look good for either.
The Wind Blast will still help you get from this to prevent you from getting to the center line, though. My initial gut reaction when I looked at this was going to be Bart, but the more I look at it, I think Mark's going to have this because he's got the two hordes of Fleet Wardens backed up by weakness, and I don't think Bart has an answer for it. I think if Mark plays it right, he will win this, but he has to be able to protect the flank and make sure the Dice Gods don't hold him down Precision Sour style. And hello, Chet's child.
That's my dog. She's old. Yeah, I'm going to go put a blanket on her head like a canary. I'll be back.
No, sorry.
Well, then I'll go and I'll say in this list, I got one of my best thumpings ever by Mark when he was playing his 5, what are they called? Glade Stalker list with Sylvankin. I remember that tournament, and he absolutely thumped me. So I think I'm going to go with Mark's list because I think you're right. The key is those 2 Corsair Fleet Warden hordes. And, if you use those 2 token on each, push towards the center, or push towards one of the middle tokens, like that will give it to you. So I don't think Bart has the answer to the hordes with Phalanx, with Elite, with Crush 1, with Bane Chant, and everything else. So I think from a player's skill perspective, list on list, Bart is facing the uphill battle.
So is that 2 for Mark?
Yeah.
I'll go counter. I think if Bart can not get in his own head over it I think Bart has a really good list. I think Bart has more experience with his list, although I'm sure Mark plays 6 games a week with that list. I think that triple stack, Bart had a lot of success at his last tournament with it and the previous tournament with it. I think that, I know Mark's stuff is really thick and it's just big chunks of nerve that you got to chew through. But I think that if Bart is doing what Bart's list wants to do, you're going to have the 2 hordes are going to clash, Scarecrows versus Fleet Wardens, and you're going to end up having them, get flanked by all those triple stack units and those big units that Mark has. If Bart can play it right, they're gonna dissolve, and then that's the most of the list, and that's cleanup.
I don't
know. I don't think it's gonna be... Say again.
Sorry. I'm sad that Bart, like you talked about names. This was Night Stalkers Hounds trash. I thought there was gonna be like 5 Shadow Hound regiments or something. When I saw the title, I was like,
he's not a big fan of the Shadow Hounds in it, but he loves the Shadow Hounds. I played him. And he's like, oh, this list is no good. The Shadow Hounds don't match and they don't work. And I'm like, they're a great unit on their own. They don't really need anything else to make them work. You give them 1 unit of Phantoms to like kind of block for them, and then they'll do their thing.
But he called it the Shadow Hound spam, and there's
so many names unit. But yeah,
people just left the name in there.
I'm gonna go Bart. I don't think it's gonna be a blowout. I think it's gonna be tight. I think it's gonna be very tight. I think it's gonna be like one of those like, oh, if it went to 7, I would have won. Well, if it went to 6 or 6, if it stayed at 6, I would have won. One of those type scenarios. But I think Bart's gonna pull it out.
Well, Chet, you're up to talk about this matchup. Dwarf on dwarf violence.
Well, I got to be honest. Like I'm not very good with the tech stuff. So when everybody sent me their list, I kind of had to like re-put them into the army builder. And about my 4th list in of dwarves, I go, wait, I think I did this list already. And then I had to like double check the other dwarves, and I'm like, no, this is slightly different. There's like 1 different character. But like dwarf lists are just dwarf lists. It's just how many Iron Guard. It's somewhere between like 3 and 6. And then it's Digi formation. And then how many dwarf on large beasts do you have? And do you have one tank or 2? So I got, it's a dwarf list. Dale runs a good dwarf list. Matt's a newer player. And I think Dale is going to probably show Matt some things about how to dwarf. I really want Matt to win. Matt's in my club. But I know Dale plays the hell out of these dwarves, and he's done it for a lot longer than Matt has. So I think Dale's got the edge in this matchup. But man, I tried talking to him so many times out of those mortars and going with what are those? The rockets. I'm just like, why don't we do the rockets? They're cheaper and they're better. And he's like, no, I like the mortars. They hit harder. I'm like, why don't you do the rockets? And then, maybe throw one of the heavy mortars in. He's like,
he literally picked.
I'm going Dale. I got to go Dale. Just so Matt hopefully learns his lesson about those rockets or those the rockets and the mortars.
I am going to go with Dale. I have never beat Dale with his dwarfs. It's a real list, unlike his attempt at Order the Green Lady. Dale pilots the dwarfs really, really well. He knows what he's doing. On the other hand, Matt, your mortars will get lots and lots of opportunities to shoot throughout the entire game because Dale will take his sweet time coming at you because he's a dwarf. So if your mortars if they go hot, like, if they go hot and your shooting goes hot with that, then you'll win. But you need that to go hot because otherwise Dale will just march forward.
So it's dwarfs versus worser dwarfs. And Dale is going to win because apparently one of the core mechanics for Kings of War is that dwarfs are supposed to win. Matt, as a fellow Abyssal Dwarf player, in all seriousness, if you lose as badly as I think you will, come find me at the GT and I can give you some friendly advice. Or more likely, join me at the bottom table and curb stop me just to prove a point. Seriously, dude, those G-Rock mortars are like the worst thing in your entire faction. You either go the heavy, or the low, and you pick the one that's statistically the worst one. It's just, find me at the GT. I'll help.
After that brutal character assassination, you want to come talk to me for advice?
Well, now we have whose turn is it?
I mean, it doesn't really matter.
Whatever. Okay, we have Matt Griffin with his Sylvankin versus Dan with his Basilians.
I can go first if you want.
Sure.
I think it's definitely a Matt. Matt's shooting is so happy with this many walking units. I mean, yeah, there's a couple Alohi, but they're all regiments. So that's not something Matt has a problem with. I mean, Matt's shooting alone, just with four regiments of Gladestalkers, you got quite a bit. That's 48 shots with hitting on 4 with Elite, plus the Windborn, plus the 2 Master Hunters, plus the that's it. But still, the downside to Matt's list is that there's not a lot of scoring units. He actually has the lowest unit strength in the game or in the tournament. But I mean, you scout a tree up onto a token, you scout another tree onto another token. Some Gladestalkers grab the other ones. He like a big chunk of his list scouts. He's gonna jump on a lot of tokens, and the Basileans are gonna be walking slowly across the field to get to him, and they're gonna be in trouble. That's my.
Dan, your list is full of victims. It's just victims. You shouldn't do this to yourself, man. You're going to lose really badly. This might be the worst list of all of the lists for you to play. Might be this one. Defense 4 Paladins. That's just, oh God, it's such a bad choice. It's been a bad choice for a long time. I'm sorry for you, buddy. If I had to give you any advice, obviously you're going to lose. If I had to give you any advice, maybe your Elohai can take his Gladestalkers out quickly. If you maybe get some double charges on, but he's probably going to be hiding in forests. And maybe he'll flub some of his shooting because you do have a decent enough heal, but he'll probably just take all your paladin victims off the table one by one, and you will do nothing. And it'll be a sad, sad day for Basilia. Just
It's so
rough.
mean.
But it's very true, Chet.
It's so mean.
They're all defense 4 and speed 5.
It's so mean.
He went out of his way to make them defense 4. Oh, it's so bad.
This might be a time to use the Alohi as the chaff in front of your Paladin foot guard.
They're the elite units.
I think the idea behind the list is get them in single charges. Then you have the elite from the Alohi makes your paladins hit harder, and they've already got the crush once. Now your crush 1 elite. I get the idea behind it, and I have a feeling it's model choice. And they're also what else do they have from the other guys? And they have elite from the Paladin Foot Guard, that center one. So they've got elite from that and elite from the Alohi.
I mean, looking at it, it looks like a list built to make Sylvankin have a good day.
It's not a matchup for him. Sylvankin is not what this list wanted to fight. But there's a lot of shooting in this GT. There's a lot of shooting.
You know what, Dan? I'm going to vote for Dan.
Of course you are.
Because I think, he has 48 shots, 24 hit, 12 wound. It's the better part of a unit that goes 1 turn. But that means he has 14 units, 28 unit strength. And once you're in combat, Matt doesn't really have a lot of punch once you're in combat. I know he has the 2 Stormwind Cav units, but other than that, he doesn't have the output.
The greater air.
Well, who cares about greater air? It's 9 attacks. He doesn't have a lot of punch in combat. So I think you just have to accept the fact that you're going to lose a unit a turn. Just have that mentally in your head. I'm losing a unit a turn. But once I get in, I'll be in, and that's where I can do the counters. So good luck. Remember, you have the 2 special characters. You have the dragon, which no one's talked about. So
I think he just has to get up that board fast. Like
Mhm.
the infantry can push up the middle, try to walk through terrain or whatever you can do, or just get cover, I guess. But like those angels and that dragon have to fly up those flanks, and they got to do work. They got to do real work. And same thing with the guy on the lion, whatever his name is.
Neas
Nias.
Salustis.
Nias got to get up there and do some work too. He can't be sitting back healing.
And you might have to be prepared to lose a unit to like just accept that you're losing a unit a turn to that shooting. And if you accept that, then you'll be mentally prepared for I'm gonna, be the
Put a token on a unit, hide it behind the woods. At least you score that one. The shooting's not going to get to you there. Hide it behind a building. There's space.
And on that note, we have Gab's Dwarfs versus Tony's Forces of Abyss. Now, I will comment on the Forces of Abyss list first. I really liked it. As much as I'm lukewarm on Alex's with the 2 Flame Bearers, I think 3 Flame Bearers with the Abyssal Fiend, with the Warlocks that he has. Surprised he didn't take the special character, but I think he has enough shooting to actually be a scary threat with the level of shooting he has in this list. And he has a decent counterpunch with the 2 Abyssal Horsemen units and the formation. So I really like, Tony, how you set out this Forces of Abyss list. I like the fact that you have 29 unit strength somehow. And I look forward to seeing how it performs because it's extremely different from what I run. But I think it's a completely valid way to play Forces of Abyss. So I'm looking forward to it. Gabe's Dwarfs are dwarfs. But they do have 3 war machines, which you almost never see with the bombards. And they only have 2 Iron Guards, so they're kind of bucking the trend, but they have the formation. So they drop the sharpshooters, which you normally see, but they have the bombards. I'm not sure if that's a benefit for them. If you had the sacrificial imps on the flame bearers, I think I would feel better for you in the shooting exchange with the dwarfs. Without that, and without the rally 1 from the Abyssal Guard, I'm not sure how the shooting exchange is going to work between you and the dwarfs, but you do have some heavy hitters which can punch through the dwarf armor. So I think this is going to be a close game. I think Gabe has a lot of counterpunch with his list, with the Horde and with the Steel Behemoths. It's going to be a bloody game at the end of the day, but I'm going to go with Tony because I like his list.
All right.
Jordan, you go next.
When I saw this matchup, I decided not to read Gabe's list at all because I already knew what Gabe's list was going to be. It's dwarfs. So I just looked at Tony's. And Tony, Gabe's just going to win because dwarfs are supposed to win. I could talk about how all of Tony's shooting is too short range or too fragile to stand up to Gabe's, but nope, dwarfs. It's like our American democracy. You don't get a Kings of War meta you deserve. You get the you don't get the Kings of War meta you want. You get the Kings of War meta that you deserve. I don't know what we did to deserve the all-dwarven supremacy. And we certainly didn't want it, but it's what we got. Yeah.
Okay, Chet.
Okay. So Tony's a newer member from my club and been working a lot with him on trying to develop a list. He's just started collecting, so he'll probably it's kind of a mix and match of like his models and my models. He's going to kind of like get some of this together. So I think Ray, you gave me a good glint there because Gabe's dwarves, aside from like the berserkers, which nobody's mentioned, the berserkers, which are 105 points with dash 15 nerve, which is nonsense.
Oh, they're unreal. They're amazing.
Unreal. I can't believe, I know Gabe always brings them, but I don't know why he doesn't bring more than one. But with that in mind, I like your positivity on it, Ray. I think that if Tony is aware of his clock and can make steady moves without throwing units away, they can make like combined attacks because they're dwarves and they're defense 6, and you got to put more than one unit into them to take care of them. But there's a solid amount of shooting in Tony's list. So if he can peel off a thing here and there, I don't think the Gabe's long range shooting is much of a threat to Tony's army, except for like the gargoyles and stuff. Because most of Tony's army is pretty low, pretty short. There's some height 3 stuff, but even then the nerve and the regen should keep it on the table. And with that Nagari rerolls, if he practices deployment and he works on his keeping combined attacks, I think I'm gonna give it to Tony on a you got this, bro. And I like Gabe a lot, but dwarves are dwarves and they need somebody to vote against them.
So who wants to look at these evil elves? Like, why? Why would you do this?
You know what? I'll take point on this one here. I've known Mark a long time, and Chuck, your army is an army I love to hate. In that I truly hate it, and I don't love anything about it whatsoever. You and Ryan Hoffman are both chasing the same paradigm of asking noobs to rage quit. Meanwhile, Mark is playing pretty much what I would expect out of a balanced elf list. Fortunately, the scenario is about loot tokens, and Chuck has squad all to carry them. Meanwhile, Mark has enough flyers to delay and counter threat, and enough hammers that will require multi-charges to take down. Plus, I happen to know that Mark's dice have been soaked in the blood of virgins. And what better way to take down an army that is literally holier than thou? So as long as Mark is playing sharp, he has this. So in other words, Mark, play at least one practice game this month.
Want me to go next, Ray?
I don't know how to follow that up. So,
all right. So, Chuck's list doesn't want to see. This isn't what it doesn't want to see. He doesn't really care. I think the fact that he's only got 10 drops going into it. Once again, Chuck's a guy from my club. I've known Chuck years before he played Kings, and he plays lots and lots of board games, lots and lots of tabletop. So he's kind of new. He's been to one GT. He's actually one of my only one-day ringers. And he made this list off of a variation of something I had put together. I had more Gur Panthers and some throwaway units in there, and I had Sisterhood Chariots, and he didn't like them. He said, I just want to be able to jump over and do what I want to do and fly and hit what I want to hit and do all the stuff. And I think that I got my money on Chuck. I think Chuck is going to do I think he's going to do the work. He's practiced this list pretty regularly, about once a week for the last, a month and a half, 2 months. He's kind of refined it as much as he can in this time. I had to paint him another Horde of Alohi before this event, so he better win. And I got my money on Chuck. I think Mark's elf list, there's no shooting in it, right? Not aside from the dragon, right? There's a dragon. Yeah, a dragon's got flame breath, and I don't think there's much else beyond that. He's got some speed 10 flyers, but so does Chuck. Chuck can chaff a lot of that stuff up with Phoenixes, and the Phoenixes can also pick up tokens. And I don't think there's an answer out there for Julius Dragon of Heaven. He's going to run amok and do whatever he wants to do. And I got this one on Chuck. I think Earl Alohi for the win.
Actually, Chet, I think that's the great point is, Chuck, you have 30 shots at 18 inches.
Don't forget, Samachris and Julius have Fireball.
Yeah, but that's 12-inch range, so then you get charged. That's less good. But 18 inches means you can shoot up the tall spears or the palace guard with no threat of being charged back, and weaken them for a turn or two, or do something. So I think, Chuck, you have the tools to deal with the infantry. Lots of speed 10 flyers clashing against each other. I think this is actually one of the toss-ups. I went with Tony last time, which is on your team, Chet. So I'm going to go with Mark this time because that's the way the dice roll.
I feel more confident about the Chuck call than I do about the Tony one. See how it goes.
But hearing that he's actually practicing, like who does that? So we come to the third Forces of Abyss list with Steve Forrester, who practices a lot. He has his flame bearers with sacrificial imps. Only one gargoyle, but he did the berserkers instead of the abyssal horsemen, which I think are an upgrade in the Forces of Abyss list for your counterpunch. He still has one abyssal horseman. Tortured souls are fine. Like this is a list that I would run. Doesn't have the formation, and he's running against the Basilians.
It's not Basilians. Look at
Oh,
your.
this is dwarfs. I made a mistake. Yes, I made my traditional one mistake. Joe's dwarfs. Joe, I owe you a drink at Vanguard. Thanks for coming up to my tournament. 2 tournaments a month is what you can do, I guess, when your children are over the age of 18. But Joe, I think you have the defense 6 to handle what Steve's army can put forward. As much as he has the sharpness, they're still crushing 1. He only has 1 source of Bane Chant in that list. So he has a hard time going above crushing 2 with the Forces of Abyss. And against a defense 6 wall, that's not what he wants to see. So Steve has shooting, but the shooting at piercing 1 does not want to see a defense 6 line of just dwarfs. So to quote Jordan, dwarfs are going to dwarf. It's not the dwarf we want, it's the dwarfs we have. And if I voted against the Silver Fox, I'd never hear the end of it from either Ben or anyone else up here.
So yeah, dwarfs and dwarfs. Look, you guys know what I'm going to say. We always know the dwarfs are going to win. But let's look at this. All right, so Steve has enough flyers maybe to keep it interesting. Between the gargoyles, Zazu the Betrayer, there's some stuff there that can really fly up the sides, and it's going to be up to Joe's basically dwarf lords on large beasts to try and play defense so that they have to get through them to get to his flanks. Joe's a lovely player. The only thing I could see he might have that might keep him from winning this game is going to be the clock. Fortunately, Chet gave him an extra 5 minutes. So
I did put 3 tokens in the middle, though. I'm sure the dwarf players aren't happy about that.
Oh, please. The dwarves always just walk forward and pick up stuff. That's why Steel Behemoths are in every list. I love it when people put tokens in the middle of the table. It's easy. Because we're only going to walk towards you anyway. No, I think Joe has this because it's dwarves. I mean, seriously. The rest of us dwarves are second-class citizens. We bow down to your superiority. Please let us have your table scraps.
This guy's talking like he can't hide 3, things that don't care about obscured behind a horde of zombies or whatever he wants. A horde of orcs.
By the way, Chet, regular dwarfs can do the same thing, but better and cheaper.
No, they can't. They don't have. They don't have Katusha rockets with the 4 attacks.
Yeah, that's true. But they do have elite on theirs, and they have cheaper things to put in front of them.
Yeah. Does their hex do damage?
They don't have it. They don't need hex. They're defense 6.
Yeah. Do they have regen on their guys?
They don't need it. They're defense 6 and cost 40 points.
Your dwarves are not worse dwarves. Your dwarves are just as dirty as their dwarves.
Oh, I would love to say that was true. And don't be wrong. We're still dwarfs. We're dirty. We're just not as
fair enough.
I think Steve, if Steve was playing a dwarf list that had the formation, which had any defense 5 at all in it, I think Steve would be very, very happy because his shooting would all of a sudden be able to go, I can deal with the defense 5 dwarfs. I think the wall of defense 6.
This list is mean. I'm not saying, I don't know why I'm even arguing bad dwarves versus better dwarves. Anyway, Joe's dwarves, I'm looking at the list, and if it weren't for the Mastiff hunting pack, the average defense would be 6. There's nothing less than a 6. This is all 6. This is horrible. This is abuse. This is not okay. I don't think this should be allowed. What do you do against that? You know what I mean? The only thing you can
Order of the Green Lady.
There's only one of those in this GT though.
Is that you can press up on those center tokens and get them away from the dwarf units. You're not going to kill the dwarf units. You might kill a couple. You're not going to kill a lot. And to get the tokens away from them, that's the best you can hope for. because the only things that Joe's got that can pressure if you don't get turn 1, if Joe has to go second, he can pressure with those 2 dwarf lords, and 7 attacks in the face isn't bad. You're not going to even lose these. What are they? The tortured souls can jump on it. The horsemen aren't going to, but they could. The berserkers could. The gargoyles could. You'll lose the gargoyles to a dwarf lord, but those abyssal warlocks are speed 6. They can move up the board, go 12, grab that token, and then just back the hell up. Now you've got 4 on your side of the board. Or no, 4 with just those. If you grab the middle one, you got 5. So you can win this game if you make Joe walk through shit all game long. You don't let him play because he doesn't have that much shooting. He's got a couple of tanks. He's got a couple of tanks and some dogs. You got a couple of tanks and some dogs, and you are a regen army. You don't care about a couple of that. Yeah, you'll lose a unit here and there. But if you're willing to do the dodge away from combats and just, lateral this shit backwards, you could win this game. If you get turn 1, it helps. Definitely help if you get turn 1. I can't go against Joe. I just can't. But Steve, you've got a real chance at this. You got to get turn 1. Load your dice. It's in theme with the event. You're good. And then get first turn. You know what? Scratch that. No, I'm not talking to Steve. We're not talking to you anymore. Joe, be a gentleman. Let him go first. Give yourself a real game. Don't walk into an easy one. Play a real game. You already played a defense 6 army. Give that guy a chance. But I'm going to go Joe.
Oh, there we go. Jordan, I want to hear your comments about this because I have real thoughts on Alan Beaner's Twilight sparkly vampire list, which really is what did it for me, and which is why I said he's clearly reading too much young adult with his. I want to have Bleakheart in my list, and I played this list at Masters or the equivalent of it. Okay, I'm just gonna. It's bloody evil. Like, this is an absolutely evil list. I don't know how those Void Wranglers are going to work compared to the Bound Ravengers. But with all the Enthrall and Blood Boil and Alchemist Curse, like, it picked up a unit, a horde of shock troops a turn without too much threat. So it is a bloody evil list. That being said, Atkins has taken... I play on the Aristocrats. I'm looking forward to seeing Atkins at Vanguard, but I'm looking at this going, I hate this Twilight Kin list. Like, good luck, Mike. I don't know how you deal with it. So.
All right. Well, you called me out. Alan, I feel like you made this list specifically to make it hard for me to do this podcast. I don't... Five regiments. I think part of your advantage is no one will have any idea what the hell to do because no one would ever run 5 of these. Mike is running his classic. Good, dependable, and more importantly, able to hide his hammers easily behind units that cannot be enthralled as long as they're carrying loot tokens. This is no contest. Mike's going to win this handily.
Oh.
And for the good of the land, Mike, I want you to banish Alan back to the depths of hell so he stops playing this list so I don't ever have to play against it. Just not so badly he'll be on the bottom table with me. So 4-3.
You're not going to be bottom table, bro. All right, what is this? Does you know offhand what Blood Hex does?
That adds 1 to your defense for 1 turn.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, that sounds wrong.
It's a very good unit upgrade that
that's really good.
Priced appropriately after the update.
Facts.
I don't think that Disordered actually impacts Atkins that much.
It does nothing. He has no thunderous.
But it takes away your fly, right?
He has Rev Cav.
Yeah, but he's not going to get within range.
I'm just saying he has them. All right, so I've played this version of Mike's list like years ago before all the changes, so it's not the exact same thing. I had a nature list against it, and it was a really good game. It was the first time I played Mike, and I was able to squeeze out a win. Alan's list, but the Mike's list, I remember he kind of had to be like, he doesn't like being spread wide across the table. And I think that he can push. He's going to automatically give up one of those tokens on the wing if he wants to stay in his little cluster. He's only going to fight for 2 tokens, plus the 2 he's pushing. And I think that Alan is going to be able to pick up one for free with just like a phantom troop. And then he's going to be able to put the rest of his focus on this. And he has enough shooting to go into Mike's really kind of his softer targets. He's got some defense. He's got defense 6 on there too, but like he's got a lot of defense 5, but those casters he's got, they probably don't like getting, never mind. That's terrible. I just think there's enough shooting in this that Alan can pick up 1 to 2 units a turn. I don't think that Mike's going to be able to handle that and still be able to deliver the punches he needs, because Alan can then push him back if they're not carrying tokens, and he'll just kill the stuff that isn't carrying tokens till there's not much left. There's only 2 things carrying tokens. Mike, with all this surge units, isn't going to get to a 3rd token till turn 2 at best. So Alan's got time to set up, make it so it's dangerous if Mike wants to move on to another token. So it's only 2 units that are safe from getting pushed and pulled and wind blasted and enthralled. So I think that this one goes to Alan. I think it'll be close. They're both fantastic players. So even if they're at a disadvantage, they're going to make it a hell of a game. But I'm going to go Alan on this one.
Okay. And then we go to the last table. Raymond versus Eric. Dwarfs versus elves. For the classic Warhammer Fantasy, historical War of the Beards. Coming back for anyone who's that old to remember that fluff.
Oh, I remember it very well.
I do. I think we're all that old.
I think so. So we have a traditional, slightly modified dwarf list. If you want to go through this, Chet, is Raymond one of your club mates, or?
He's merking with us because some people didn't have clubs. And I'm like, yeah, if you want, we have never been on the Cornwall Cup, and I know I'm not going to be there to help, but we should have numbers. But a lot of our guys are like, I even have another guy, the Kingdoms of Men list, I said is a ringer tomorrow on Sunday. So not all of our guys are there the whole time. So I don't think we're in the pushing for that. Unless Ray has a hell of a run. But it's a standard dwarf list. We have a lot of Iron Guard. They're all defense 6. There's 2 sharpshooters. There's Mastiff packs with throwing Mastiffs, which I found to be unusual because 2 of the Iron Guard don't have throwing Mastiffs. So it's like, I think he's just trying to focus fire because hoping the Mastiffs are, going to jump in front of a unit of dwarves and they can both see the same target and then they'll both be in range of it. Whereas I guess he's afraid if he does it all on dwarves, then they can't all focus that, that ranged attack on the same unit. I mean, there's probably a logic to it. That would be how I would use them. I love the 2 battle drillers. I think that's great. I wish there was a host Shadow Beast in this list because I think that would make those 2 drillers a lot scarier. But drillers going to elves, they're going to have a field day. So like all you got to do is like cover them things up. I mean, there's a lot of softer defense targets that those drillers love hitting. They're only crush 1? Yeah, they're only crush 1. They got the brutal 2. Elves are not exactly known for having high defense and high nerve. And I don't think that the elven shooting is so what's the word I'm looking for? Yeah, sure. I don't think it's so obnoxious that he can't stomach it. He's got his own shooting to counter shoot, and they're regular elves. So they're not going to get the stealthy bonus on their Glade Stalkers. So when they start getting dogs thrown at them, they start getting sharpshooters put into them, these elves are going to go away. I do like Eric's list. I just don't think Eric's list wants to fight defense 6 dwarves. But I do really like Eric's list. I wish Eric's list against like one of these Force of the Abyss lists, he's going to wreck. He's going to destroy people. I love the chariots. I think Noble Chariot, King on Noble Chariot, or whatever it is, Noble on War Chariots. Those are one of the best units elves have access to. It's one of the best new upgrades. I love the formation. King's Champion seemed to be popular amongst those other ones. You know, I'm not a big fan of a 85-point Lightning Bolt 5 guy, but it adds to your shooting. And the Stormwind Cav with no items and no upgrades, I don't fully grasp that one, but you know, they're still going to hit pretty hard. They're still Thunder 2, Melee 3. They're going to hit hard. They're just really going to have to envelop these dwarves pretty quickly because the dwarves can apply some pressure. And when they do hit, even if they break it, stupid battle drillers are going to take off whatever took them off. I think Ray's got this one, although I think Eric is a great player and he has a great list. I just think Eric's got it because dwarves are supposed to win.
Well,
Jordan.
I might go against the grain. I think Eric can play full table. He has the speed, the mobility, the maneuverability to say, I'm going to go for all three objectives along the center. I'm going to put Noble Chariots and my Dracons and my Stormwind Cav like spread all the way across the entire length of the board. Raymond, where are you going to focus? And if you try to spread out to get two of the tokens along the center, then you're going to give up a flank. And as soon as you give up a flank, I have 18-inch, 20-inch charges, and I'll begin finding them. I wish the Stormwind Cav had like Vicious, Drunken Ram, and Pathfinder. Because if all of a sudden you're charging in with Thunderous 3.
I don't need blood.
But that's why Elite and Vicious with Thunderous 2, Thunderous 3 Elite, and pick what you want for the other one. Like if you had those three items, I would feel much better for you with the charges going into the defense 6 dwarfs. But just because Jordan's going to pick dwarfs because that's the way he rolls, I'm going to pick Eric because go pointy ears. I like Vulcans.
All right, Eric, let's workshop. You have 3 units that can scout, so you can start immediately picking up those tokens in the middle line. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 guys who are very fast and nimble to fly up a flank. And you have some Stormwind Cavalry against one of the few dwarf players who isn't running the formation. And the King's Champion Archmage, which are always good. I'm sorry, you're still going to have to bow down to your Dwarven Overlords. It's just not going to happen for you. To answer Chet's earlier questions, I mean, I don't even really need to go into why an all-def 6 army is nearly impossible to beat. But to answer Chet's earlier questions about the Mastiff Hunting Pack, what I think he's going to do with them, it'd probably be, I can see it being useful against Eric because he's got a lot of fast chargers. He'll run them forward in front of his Iron Guard or whatever other unit he wants. They'll throw their dogs and placed in the right position. None of Raymond's line will be able to be double charged. And since it's dwarfs, the only way to defeat it is being double charged or triple charged, or really you just don't defeat it because the rules said don't defeat dwarfs. So Raymond's going to win. Sorry, Eric.
Well, on that level.
All right, I'm going to switch it. I'm going to Eric.
Who do we think? Top player, dark horse, and top team?
All right. You guys are huffing.
I'll go.
I
actually like Tony's Forces of Abyss list. He would be my dark horse. Like I looked at it, I'm like, I think this list has potential. You're saying this is probably his first 2 day. I think he's going to be in the top.
I don't know if Tony's going to be making both days, so I wouldn't pick him for my dark.
Because I'd probably put him into the top half. I don't like not up there, but not podium, but definitely top half. Top team, I'm going to go with. Who are my drinkers? Dojo, yes. I'm going to go with Dojo because this seems to be the event where Dojo has the opportunity to play. I'm not sure if the Aristocrats have a full team here this weekend.
They have 4.
Oh,
pretty sure they got 4 in the mix because they picked up a Merc as well. They had somebody jumped in with them from Shambling Horde, I forgot. But they have 4.
Okay.
So the ones that are in contest for that are going to be Aristocrats they have like 4. Nerdhammer, I think they have the most. I think they've got like 7 because all 7 of theirs, like some of mine are ringers. Loaded has 8. And Dojo's got like 4 or 5. I think 5. I think Dojo's got 5. I'm just guessing. I think there's only 1 like free floater. So those are really the only clubs that are going to be in contention for it.
I'll go Aristocrats just because some element of team loyalty, but if not, I think it would be Dojo's weekend to play and drink and have fun, because if Dojo cannot win at a tournament called Fully Loaded, I don't know when Dojo could possibly win. So actually, yeah, I'm going to stick with Dojo for top team just because this tournament is designed right from title onward to be a Dojo event, even though Dojo's not Chet's team. And for top player, it pains me to say it, and I don't want it to be true, but I think Beaner's bloody Twilight Sparkly Vampire list is going to be the top player, even though I don't want to see it win, because that list is filthy, and I feel disgusting even looking at it.
Top player, it's going to be Gabe, because Dorf's, and he's probably the best Dorf player we have showing up. Also, probably the shortest Dorf player we have showing up. So he's at least cosplaying or something. Top team is going to be Dojo. I'm going to do my best as I'm working for them to drag them down, but I think they're going to do pretty good. I think between Gabe, who's obviously going to take top player because Dorf's, we still have Mark bringing a fantastic Twilight Kin list. I think Keith's going to do very well. I think Mark's going to do better than he's expecting to once he gets the rush shaken off. And yeah, we're going to get shit-faced. As for the Dark Horse, so I didn't really know how to pick this because it's like, if I think he's going to win, is he a dark horse? But for me, it's going to be Larry Essick, the Ogre player, because I think Ogres are still really good, and I don't know anything about him. And I don't even know that he's got a team affiliated. So it's kind of like dark horsey enough to me. So yeah, I'm going to think Larry's going to take it because I really think his Ogre list is pretty good.
Oh, you know what? Never mind. We're all good.
We sure are.
All right. So my top player, I think, is going to be Adam Ortle. Like, Adam is one of the best players in the Mid-Atlantic. The only reason Adam doesn't rank higher is because Adam has 10,000 children and only gets to so many events. If Adam didn't have to get Adam ranks high because Adam only goes to 3 events. If he ranks really low, it's because he's only been to 2 events for the year. So like some people are like, I went to 6 events and I did really well at 3 of them, and 3 of them I bombed at. Adam's not that guy. Adam goes and destroys people every time he goes. The last event he went to was Best of the Rest and he won. And he has only refined this list since then. And Adam's fish piecemeal dwarves. They love it. There's no big alpha list for him to worry about. He is happy as a pig in poop. He's gonna do it. So Adam, you're my boy, Blue. All right. Dark horse. I did have Larry, but I'm gonna go with the real dark horse. My guy Josiah is gonna pull it out with the all tree list, shock everybody by being
getting an easy win against me.
I didn't even pick him for the first game, but I think he's gonna be dark horse. I don't makes no sense, but I think he's gonna do better than he thinks he will, and I wish Chuck was going the full weekend because I think Chuck's going to surprise people with those best lands. But there will be a best land. There'll be a guy who plays it on the second day. So anyway, regardless, that's my things. And then top team. Oh, we've never got it. I gotta go with my own club. There's only like 4 of us that can actually compete for it though. But because I got so many ringers in one day, it's just. I wish they could yeah. So I think Adam's going to pull enough points I think Ray, because he's playing dwarves, should walk away with like, three wins and a tie, 4 wins. And then if Josiah does what I think Josiah can do with that list and he pulls out 3 wins, I think we got it. I think we can make that happen. I'm going with us. I'm going loaded dice with the fully loaded. It's going to be bittersweet to win it when I'm not on the team. But either way, I'll be happy to get my club on there. We do have another 2 different prizes at this one than you see at normal ones. And there is the worst luck, which you can't predict that because rolling the most double ones. And then you also got top, like best new general. So somebody who's been to 3 GTs or less. So those guys can kind of get their own prize. And little surprise I wanted to save till this podcast. We reached out to Mantic, and there's 7 trophies. So the 7 prizes are best overall, best general, best new general, best painted, player's choice, sports, and crappiest luck. Now, player's choice and crappiest luck don't count in this. Every other trophy that gets one gets, I think it's like a $30 off a Mantic purchase. So they sent us a coupon. So you're going to get that in addition to winning your trophy. So it's a cool little extra for that.
Well, it's awesome. And I like the idea that you have an award for best new player, because that's pretty cool.
I think that's really cool. It's too bad that everyone's bringing lists.
Yeah, so I've done that on my 1 days. So, but it makes it like I've done it on my 1 days ever since the very first one, because I want to encourage new players, but without saying like, new player, you got the wooden spoon or whatever. I'm like, no. There's 3 of you guys who've only been to 2 events or less, so it's 3 or less. So like you've only been to 1, you've been to 1, and they come in, they're like, I won an award on my first, tournament. And so like I'm keeping that same vibe, but I'm not counting 1 days. It's just 3 GTs or less.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like if somebody lies to me, they lie to me. I'm like, you did that for a piece of plastic. Good for you. But like, you know what I mean? But yeah. So I think it's a fun idea. And then the crappiest luck is hilarious. Some people, like, when they're doing real bad, they're like, I'm killing that. I'm getting that poop trophy, though. It is literally a piece of shit. Like, it's a piece of poop with 2 dice on it. All the dice are ones. Like, all the pips on it are ones. So,
if I have a prediction for crappiest luck, it'll be Keith. This is a man who in 3 rounds of a GT, the pilgrimage, he did 85 wounds to the same Pegasus. Rolled 3 snake eyes in 3 successive rounds to kill it. 85 wounds, it was still alive.
Right, but when you leave with a trophy for it, it doesn't hurt as bad. And I hate when you get to re-roll the one. You're like, oh, pay $10, you can re-roll one of your dice at some point, because you're like negating those great stories of the snake eyes. But there's absolutely nothing wrong with going like, put my name on that chart. Now I've got 5 sets of snake eyes. Who else has more snakes than me? I'm winning that trophy. And it's like hilarious. I used to pass out little poop tokens. But it ran out.
So just word of advice, Chet, from somebody who just ran his first 2 day and may have possibly pissed off one of his co-hosts. John charged the flank of a unit of like hunters in the flank with a horde of knights. Whole horde of knights caused 37 wounds. Double ones. Next turn, they get killed off. He charges in with his peasants. I'm going around the tables. I'm looking at him. I'm like, you rolled double ones last turn. John, if you roll double ones again, are you going to still win the game? He's like, yeah. And I'm like, okay. So he gets ready to roll. I'm like, double ones. And he double ones it. And then, so the third time, he's like, you go far away, because like running the TO, I'm supposed to be impartial, but it's a good story at this point in time. It's up to 43 wounds, double ones at a third time. He ends up getting it to 67 wounds with another flank charge and kills it. He still won the game. I think he got like 20 points in blackjack, but the fact that he rolled 4 double ones in that one game, 3 on that one unit, and 4. Make sure that if you yell double ones, Chet, for somebody, it's somebody that you can take the ripping afterwards, and they won't punch you out for.
Well, there's actually Mike was really nice. Mike Atkins put it into the software. So at the end of your game, when you're going, was it a good game, bad game? How many sets, double ones did you roll? Just punch it right in there, and it does all the calculations for me. So
Dan, I'm going to steal this because I steal all the good ideas from the Mid-Atlantic from trophies and onwards. So yes,
please
but
do.
I think that's all we have. Any final points for this weekend?
Shots.
I just want everyone. What's that?
I said shots.
Bring a shot. Nice.
Shots. Keith and Mark will be there. There'll be shots. I'll be right back.
Yeah, we have open gaming on Friday night, so get there whenever you want. I did think, I was like, oh, I'll run this other game I have called Unmatched, and we'll run a little tournament there for fun. Didn't take. It's okay. I'll bring it anyway. If people want to play it, they can play it. But I have a feeling we'll get a couple of actual games. I'm hoping to get one game in myself on Friday just for fun. Jordan.
I am going to try and play my round one on Friday night.
Don't worry, you might play a game. That's okay. If I can find a loose player, can't find her.
I can lose two games.
Jordan, you're playing Josiah? He's not going to be there Friday night. He's local.
Great.
He'll come in Saturday morning.
Oh, cool. So I get to wake up early and hungover.
I'll ask him if he wants to come over Friday. Yeah, I'll talk to him about it.
Don't worry about it. It's fine. It's fine. I play better when I'm hungover. And that I'm still going to lose.
Wilkes-Barre has Wilkes-Barre has a ton of great restaurants. So when it comes down to, Saturday and Friday night for like dinner, there's a lot you can get to literally across the street. And then if you want to drive 3 to 5 minutes, you can get to a ton more. Chipotle and, TGI Fridays and a bunch of other local places, and pizza around here is pretty good. So we'll be having pizza Friday or Saturday. So
piece of advice, next year, if it's the same location, do not remind the dojo that there's a Chuck E. Cheese's across the street. This can only end in.
Do I have to warn the Chuck E. Cheese? Are some of the dojo not allowed to go because there's a playground close?
It's more of a factor of wait. We could go to a Chuck E. Cheese's and then they will, and the alcohol will show up. And
I'm
then
so down.
Someone's gonna end up in the ball pit, and it's gonna go real bad. And yeah.
There's a problem. I'm not saying
on that note, we're going to end the recording. I don't think we can top that point. Have fun this weekend, and I look forward to hearing the stories.
All right, guys.
Cheers. See you.